What's going on, everyone? So, Nikola Vucevic, he's been somebody that has been in a lot of conversations recently because he is somebody that is looked at as a potential buyout candidate that Chicago, we've seen several reports that Chicago, if they are unable to successfully trade him, then they are going to buy him out. Now, there was a recent report, like yesterday or the day before, that basically said that that's a little overblown, that they might not. Now, a couple things about that. One, right? Said this before. It's kind of like, okay, what's the consensus? Because you usually get opposite reports regularly. You get like 4 or 5 reports that all say this, and then you'll get like 1 or 2 reports that say this, right? So it's kind of like pick your favorite insider or reporter, and that's the person that you kind of run with. I usually try to, because usually it's somewhere in the middle, right? So usually when I'm talking about the stuff, I take what is the consensus thought and report, and usually it's somewhere in the middle in that range. Now, Chicago, are they going to buy him out this offseason? Maybe not, right? There were same people that reported that he was going to be a buyout candidate, all said that it's more likely that he's going to be bought out during the season rather than during the offseason, which makes sense for Chicago. If you're going to buy him out, be patient, wait around, right? If you can, maybe a team has a, knock on wood, a center go down or something, you never want to see that. But if somebody does, maybe they are in this desperate state where it's like, hey, let's go get Nikola Vucevic right through the season. Or if a team that feels close, like what if Indiana's still really good this year and they're like, man, we could really use a Nikola Vucevic to see if maybe we can make a push, right? Maybe they do something like that, or the Warriors or whoever, right? You never know how that's going to go and play out. The other thing too is, when you see reports, like who do they benefit? Right? Like Chicago's trying to trade him, right? So you have teams that aren't interested in trading for him because there's all this talk about him potentially being bought out. So if you're Chicago, what do you want to do? You want to put out the news that, hey, we're not going to buy him out. We don't want to buy him out. I don't know where this came from type thing. And so you get that report that's like, hey, it's a little overblown. When in reality, it might not be. It might just be Chicago trying the last ditch effort to try to get a team that's desperate enough to maybe go trade for him. But regardless, there are new reports that have came out that the Lakers are monitoring and kind of keeping an eye on Nikola Vucevic. Now, I don't think that this is crazy. I don't think this is far-fetched because, again, he's a guy that if he is bought out, the Lakers need, right? He would be an excellent backup for the Lakers. There's a lot of talks about him if he was to be bought out, potentially going to the Lakers. Al Horford looks like he's going to a team in the Golden State Warriors. So Nikola Vucevic could go to a team like the Lakers, play on a contender. Also, if he does get bought out during the season, then Lakers would be under the first apron. How do we know this? Because the Lakers can't go over the first apron. They are hard capped at the first apron. So they're going to be under the first apron. So they would be able to go and sign Nikola Vucevic, even if he's bought out after the trade deadline. So regardless, it makes sense because especially closer to the trade deadline, the market is going to be very limited for teams that can go and sign Nikola Vucevic. And then on top of that, right, he's not going to want to go to a bad team. He's going to want to go to a team which can contend. So it might be in the Lakers' best interest for him to be bought out in sometime during the season. More likely than not after the trade deadline, but at any point during the season. So it does make sense. Like the report came from Anthony Irwin. I know people, every time I talk about Anthony Irwin, people go, again, it's not even necessarily about who report. It's something that makes sense, right? The argument was that hey, as we saw with Marcus Smart, Lakers are monitoring that. I don't think it's something that's like, oh, wow, this is nothing that, no, again, it's not about it's what is the realistic likelihood of said report, right? And I think the idea that, hey, Lakers are eyeing and monitoring Nikola Vucevic, I don't think is a crazy far-fetched report, right? So again, because I know people will be like, oh, Anthony Irwin, he's this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter. It's about is it a real thing? Is it something that makes sense that the Lakers do? Yes. And it's not a new report. We've heard this from, well, not that they're monitoring, but we've heard that if he's bought out, that the Lakers are one of the top candidates to acquire him. So it makes sense that the Lakers would monitor, especially with how the buyout market has gone, particularly for the Lakers. Getting DeAndre Ayton, getting Marcus Smart. So again, it's not something where it's like, oh, this is some crazy reporting that, like, you don't need inside information to go like, hey, Lakers are monitoring and eyeing Nikola Vucevic. Like, I could have said that, right? Like, and I'm not a reporter, I'm not an insider, I'm not anything like that. I just think it's obvious, right? Especially if you look at how the Lakers have approached thus far this offseason. And it's something that I've talked about, right? Like, I think the Lakers should be patient and wait and get through this current buyout wave, particularly leading into training camp, because the closer we get into training camp, the more names are probably going to come out on the market, but also the more players will just be bought out, period, that the Lakers can now go and maybe make a move or two to get something done, right? So to me, I just think it's in the Lakers' best interest to kind of be patient, wait and see, because again, if you can get a Nikola Vucevic, now you don't need to go trade for a better backup, right? Like, if you can solve some of your needs with buyouts, why trade for those guys, right? So again, like, why trade for a starting center when you got one for free in DeAndre Ayton, who, by the way, is probably the best option the Lakers could have gotten even via trade, right? So 2, you needed a point of attack, right? You needed a point of attack kind of anchored to the defense at the guard or wing position. You got somebody in the buyout market in Marcus Smart. Now, I do still think that this team needs a starting 3 and D wing, right? Rui gives you the 3, he doesn't really give you the D, right? So pause. But I look at like this team's 2 biggest needs. Backup center position, right? And the biggest is, again, that starting 3 and D spot. But there's a couple things about that, right? One, I think you don't need to rush the backup center position. Jackson Hayes, I think, is more than comfortable filling that spot. All of the options that are available for trade, I don't think the gap is that significant from, a Jackson Hayes, right? Like, backups in general, the margin of, productivity from a backup is very limited across the board, right? Like, you look at Nikola Vucevic, the margin between him and even like, Domantas Sabonis, who is, top, 5 center in all of basketball, maybe top 7, somewhere in that range, right? It's huge. It's massively significant, right? One guy makes you an instant contender. One guy, maybe you make the play in, right? Like, as we've seen with Sacramento. So again, like, the margins for starters are very wide. But backups, it's like, Nick Richards isn't that much significantly better than like a Jackson Hayes. So I'm fine with the Lakers being patient in the backup market. And if you can get what is a starting and proven still right now starting center as a primary backup, that's huge for you for the Lakers. So be patient in that regard. The 3 and D wing area, I'm fine with the Lakers being patient in. Right? If there's no deal, I'm okay with the Lakers overpaying. Like I always say, like, if it's warranted and justified, fine. But to me, let's wait and see first. What if, again, Jake LaRavia becomes what we need, right? Then why would you go and overpay for an Andrew Wiggins? Right now, also, though, if Jake LaRavia is actually, let's say, cooking, or it doesn't even have to be Jake LaRavia, what if a Dude Theroux? Or what if, what if Jared Vanderbilt shoots 36% from three-point range this season? Right? Like, now it's like, you might not need it, and 2, if you want it, then fine. Now you have a leverage point where you can go, hey, we want Andrew Wiggins still. We would love to have Andrew Wiggins still, but we don't need Andrew Wiggins still. Look at what Jake LaRavia is doing this year. Look at what Jared Vanderbilt's doing this year. We're fine just sticking to the script with these guys. But if we can get your guy to, maybe potentially lift our ceiling a little more, we'd love to have it. Right now you're going from a point where you have the leverage rather than them, where it's like, hey, you need this. What are you going to do? Right? Like, look at your other options. Well, if those other options step up. So point is, I want the Lakers to be and continue to remain patient. Don't jump the gun. Don't do anything. Let things go and develop, right? The fact that the Lakers are keeping an eye on Nikola Vucevic, it makes sense, right? Again, I don't think it takes an insider or, crazy reporter, because we've seen the Lakers do this. We've seen the Lakers do it with Marcus Smart, right? We got the reports from various people about Marcus Smart buyout, and Anthony Irwin said same thing, that they're monitoring Marcus Smart. Again, I don't think that that takes some, crazy, whether you believe him or not, whatever. It doesn't take a crazy, inside information to figure that out, right? Like, he's a buyout candidate. He's a guy that makes perfect sense for this Lakers team as far as a backup role. He's a guy that could, has roots and ties with LA, USC guy, right? So you connect the dots. It's easy to go, yeah, Lakers are probably keeping an eye on him, because at any point, if he gets bought out, him going back to LA makes sense. And last kind of point is Lakers were interested in trading for him, right? Like, for the last few seasons, Lakers were interested in trading for him. And Chicago probably should have done it, but they got greedy and they wanted more, and Lakers backed out. Now, it worked out for the Lakers, right? Because I would have rather went and saved everything and gotten DeAndre Ayton than, ponying up and trading whatever we would have to trade at the time to go get a Nikola Vucevic. So it worked out in the long run for the Lakers. But now it'd be awesome if, now it becomes full circle. He gets bought out. Lakers end up signing him for free. I just think that's a beautiful thing. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.